Three, two, one, action. Welcome back to episode 10 of As Seen on Screen. I'm Nicole.
And I'm Gracie, and this is your source for entertainment news, reviews, conversations, and more.
You can find us wherever you get your podcasts on Spotify or YouTube. But we are very excited to get into this week's episode. We have lots of exciting news to talk about in the entertainment world, so let's get right into it. Gracie, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, so this week, actually, right before we got on this call, it was announced that Now You See Me 3 has an official theatrical release date. It is November 14th, 2025. I don't know about you, but I am a huge fan of this whole franchise. I remember watching it when it first came out, and I have been long awaiting this third movie. Not much is really known about it right now, as far as I know, but I do know the original cast is coming back. I know Isla Fisher is coming back to reprise her role, even though she wasn't in the second one. So I'm excited to see that. But I'm also curious to see who they do bring back from the second movie, because it'll kind of be like a mixed dynamic. I don't know. I'm just super excited for this. What are your thoughts?
I'm excited as well. I love the first two movies. They're awesome. There's nothing quite like it. Like, obviously, there's lots of movies about magicians and magic, but this is just, it's almost like sometimes I think it feels like almost like a heist movie mixed with, which it is.
Mhm.
Like, it's very like Ocean's movies with magic in it, and I just think it's really fun. I don't know. It's cool. It's fun. But
The only thing I think of, or like the first thing that comes into my mind when I think of the Now You See Me franchise is how stressed I was the first time I watched it, and it was the piranha scene where she's like locked in a tank underwater and she has a certain amount of time to get out before the piranhas eat her alive. Like that was the most stressful opening to a movie that I had seen at that time. So I always think about that and it gets me stressed just to think about it, even though I know what happens anyway.
anytime I see any type of scene like that in a movie where they're locked in and they have like a time constraint to get out or whatever it may be, so stressful. Like I think it was The Shape of Water, which I think is 2017, when I forget the actress who was stuck in the box, but she had to get out of the water-filled box, I believe, and I think something went wrong when they were filming the scene and things like that, and she actually was struggling to get out of the water, and it's just I can't imagine having to go through that and film that and the stress of that. Crazy.
Yeah, there's that. There's um obviously Now You See Me. Divergent when she's in like the dream realm and she's like tapping on the glass and it's not breaking stresses me. I think anything where you're locked in or like water is filling up your
Yes.
vicinity really stresses me. Um, that's besides the point.
Now we're just talking about movies that freak us out, but we are very excited for Now You See Me 3. It's very exciting news. So something to look forward to next year. Still quite a bit away, but it'll be here before you know it.
And
So
we saw
that's
Jesse
something.
Eisenberg in person.
Yes, we did. Oh, here's our throw to South by Southwest as we do every week.
You know who else was at South by Southwest?
Who?
Nicholas Galitzine.
I was
Okay,
like trying to think. I'm like, who else is in the movies that we saw there?
I've gotten my fill of South by Southwest and Nicholas Galitzine, so we can move on now.
We've gotten it over with. But anyways, more movie news. A recent movie that's or a closer movie coming out, which is coming out this Friday, July 12th, which is Longlegs, which of course is the long-awaited horror film starring Nicolas Cage and Micah Monroe. So we have actually been invited to an advanced press screening this week that happened previously on this week on Monday, July 8th. Thank you to our friends at Elevation Pictures for inviting us. It was an amazing film. So we're gonna bring you along with us. We vlogged the day a little bit and then we have our review. So we're gonna add that in here. So hope you enjoy listening to the review. All right. Hey guys, I just wanted to start off the review by thanking Elevation Pictures for inviting us to the press screening of Longlegs in Toronto. It was a great time, and I have so many great things to say about this film. I'm excited to chat about it with you guys, so let's get right into it, but thank you again to Elevation Pictures. So, Longlegs, if you haven't heard, is about an FBI agent named Lee Harker. She's assigned to a case tracking down a serial killer who has named himself Longlegs, and it stars Micah Monroe as Lee, Nicolas Cage as Longlegs, and Alicia Witt as well. She plays Lee Harker's mom. So the film revolves around her trying to figure out the case. She starts getting cryptic clues and even finds out a little bit something about herself connected to Longlegs. So if you're a horror fan, if you like thrillers, mystery, this is a film you will love. If you're not so much a fan of horror films, psychological kind of ideas, maybe not the film for you, because I will say this was the first time I was scared sitting in a movie theater in a very long time. This film quite literally had me on the edge of my seat from the very start to the end. So, one of the many aspects I loved about this film is the cinematography within it. One difference that you have between either past clips in the past where the movie isn't taking place or in the present with Longlegs in them is that they use a different type of filming. It almost looks like they're taking a vintage video camera and it's just a rectangular, a little bit more grainy film that only takes up about half of the screen right in the middle. And then once we go to present day with Lee or anyone who isn't Longlegs, it goes back to the normal how you would expect on a movie screen, full screen there. So I thought that was really interesting aspect to use it. The movie does take place within the 70s, 80s, and 90s. It goes back and forth between different decades and timelines a little bit, not too much, but just to give you enough background context to what happens before the present day where the film has taken place. So I thought that was a really interesting aspect they used. I liked it. It definitely added to like the 90s thriller vibes that Longlegs has going on with it. So that was an awesome aspect. One thing not to overlook for sure are the performances in this film. I mean, they were incredible. Everyone in this film did such a great job. I was blown away by Nicolas Cage's performance as Longlegs. You can't even tell it's him. If you didn't know it was him playing Longlegs, I don't think you'd be able to tell because there's only one scene where I could really see Nicolas Cage kind of shine through and almost hear his normal voice a little bit, but I don't know if that's only because I knew it was him anyways. So, they did an amazing job with his makeup. You'll see they haven't even released footage of what he looks like. You can see like a few images online, but the movie itself, they haven't released what he looks like. And I thought that was very smart of him because once you do see him in the film, very freaky, very creepy what they did to him. So definitely built up the anticipation of seeing him in the movie, and they did a really good job with kind of making that reveal. Micah Monroe, stellar. She's so good in this film. They have also some social media footage that they released for promotion, and it was one of the ones where Lee sees Longlegs for the first time in the present day in the film. And so they released that scene with Micah Monroe's heartbeat because that was actually the first time she saw Nicolas Cage dressed up as Longlegs. It was actually the first time she saw him at all in this filming process. She had no idea what he was going to look like. And I believe her heartbeat got up to 170 beats per minute. I think that's what it was. So if you want to go watch that video, it's actually really cool promotion. They are killing it with promotion for this film. So that's really cool. You can see that on the Longlegs Instagram and I'm sure some other places as well. Another aspect of this film I loved with having to do with cinematography somewhat is how they used the space in this film. They left a lot of open space depending on different scenes that they were filming, and you could see a lot of empty space. And that left a lot of room to build anticipation. You were kind of sitting there waiting for something to happen because how the camera was angled, it's almost as if like I was Micah Monroe and she'd be sitting here and you had all this open space in the background. And so you're just waiting, anticipation. You're like, I feel like I'm supposed to think that someone's going to show up behind here. And of course, they almost always do the opposite of what you think is going to happen. But that definitely leaves a lot of room for anxiety and nerves to build up because they do it throughout the film. So that was very smart of them. They didn't use a lot of jump scares. There's definitely a few, but the thrill and the scare factor from this film come from not only using aspects like that, like the space and anticipation, but also there's a lot of psychological scare in this film, which was something I wasn't expecting. There's also a lot of like demonic presence and themes that are talked about throughout this film, which I didn't know about too much as well. I went into this pretty blindly. I didn't watch the trailer too much. I just kind of wanted to be surprised with it. I read the synopsis, but that was about it. But lots of talk about the use of demonic presence and that kind of scare factors. So it's very interesting that way, but psychologically, definitely if you like the movies Seven, which is from the 90s, I think 95, I believe, and The Silence of the Lambs, this is very much like that with the FBI searching down a serial killer and things starting happening, a woman lead, like Silence of the Lambs. So very much like that. But this film, I gave it a 5 stars on Letterboxd. I give it a 10 out of 10 anywhere. I mean, it's gotten rave reviews from so many people, and when I was walking out of the screening, I heard lots of people chatting about how much they loved it, how amazing they thought it was, and I completely agree with them. This film is killer. So, again, you love horror, you love all these kinds of things. Check out Longlegs in theaters tomorrow, Friday, July 12th, everywhere, and let us know what you think about this film. Share your thoughts, but I hope you love it just as much as I did. But let's get back to the podcast. Well, we hope you enjoyed our review of Longlegs. Again, thank you to Elevation Pictures for inviting us to the screening, and you have to catch it in theaters this Friday, July 12th.
Yeah, in other movie news, we got an official first trailer, I believe, for the new Tom Hanks film Here. It is a very strange trailer, but a lot of people are freaking out about the fact that it is him reuniting with some of his old friends. Nicole, you want to talk more about it?
Forrest Gump fans are sure to have loved this news because we are getting a reunion with Tom Hanks and Robin White. Oh my goodness. Robin Wright, as well as director Robert Zemeckis is directing here as well, who of course is the director for Forrest Gump. So if you're a fan of the film, I'm sure you're excited for this. It's great to see them back on the screen again. But what's unique about this is Forrest Gump is 1994, so obviously we saw a younger version of Robin and Tom, but actually we are going to be seeing that younger version of them again in this film because one of the big standout pieces of this is that they are using an anti-aging technology to accomplish the plot of this film that Gracie can talk about, but we're going to be seeing them through the decades in past and future. So it'll be very interesting to see how they use the anti-aging technology to their advantage, how they do it, how it ends up looking on the big screen. So that's exciting to look forward to. But do you want to share a bit about the plot there, Gracie?
Yeah, so here follows a single piece of land that's seen from the viewpoint over thousands of years. It's obviously mainly focused on the time period when Hank and Wright's characters lived on it, but the story does travel through generations, capturing the human experience in the purest form. And that is what IMDb and other places are saying about it. Obviously, it does show a lot in the trailer, a lot of different time periods. So I think it'll be interesting to see what take they actually do with this. I don't think I've ever seen a movie like this yet. So I'm excited. It goes back to me and you saying we need more original movies. So
Yeah, absolutely. And this is actually, for anyone who doesn't know, adapted from a graphic novel by Richard Maguire of the same name. So that's cool to see if you've read the graphic novel at all. But I'm excited for this. Like you said, this is a very original plot. I mean, obviously, you have movies like Benjamin Button and The Age of Adeline, which are similar, but I don't believe, to my knowledge, that they use this type of anti-aging technology to actually take the two starring characters through different time periods and to actually alter their age at whatever point they're focusing on in the scenes. So it'll be interesting. And it's really weird too because I think the last latest movie I've seen from Tom Hanks would be A Man Called Otto,
yeah,
which of course as like a grumpy old man pretty much. And now we're going to be
completely
seeing it
different.
again. Totally going back in time. So I think it'll be trippy to kind of see them at such a younger age, like now in present time, knowing this is a new film. And
Yeah.
especially it's gonna be funny seeing like I think the press tours and stuff like this and with interviews and like seeing them at their actual age and then watching the film and you see them at like younger ages, not really, but
I'm
what the
just
technology is doing to them.
I'm more so hoping that it looks not natural because obviously it's not natural, but I'm hoping it doesn't look like super fake and kind of cringy in a way, you know?
Yeah, I hope the quality of it's there, especially when it's on a big screen, like blown up in your face that big. You can definitely tell sometimes when it looks a little, iffy and not. So the film is expected to drop in theaters on November 15th this year, 2024. So something to look forward to, which is exciting. So we will find out soon enough, and more information is surely going to come out. So that's exciting to learn more and look forward to. In more movie news that's exciting that's come out in the last little bit, we have a new film coming to theaters this October 18th called Flight Risk, starring Mark Wahlberg and directed by Mel Gibson. Also has Michelle Dockery and Topher Grace. The plot of the film looks interesting. Mark Wahlberg portrays a hitman and a pilot, and Michelle Dockery is an FBI agent. Topher Grace is an informant, and basically they're taking a plane that Mark Wahlberg is the pilot of, who has been hired as the hitman to take out the informant, and the FBI agent finds this out as they're flying to take the informant to a to testify on a case. So very all over the place. It's very exciting, I think, like type of action film. But what do you think, Gracie?
I'm just really excited about the announcements this week because they're all like original type movies. And I feel like we've not to hate on reruns or like sequels, because I know we talked a lot about that last week, but it's just nice to not know what to expect from a movie, but still be excited for it. Like I love Mark Wahlberg. I think he's great. Um, and just watching this trailer, it kind of gives like Glenn Powell Hitman, where he takes on like a different identity, um, but not to the same extent. And I think it's really stressful to be stuck with an FBI agent, an informant, and a hitman in the middle of the air. Like, obviously, you can't just land the plane anywhere, so they're kind of stuck with that trio for what looks like most of the movie. So I think that'll definitely be interesting to see how that works out, but also see the shots that they get to because Mel Gibson is usually very creative with his directing, so I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I love seeing Mark Wahlberg in action roles. He does such a great job in them, like action, suspense, that kind of thing. So I think this should be something definitely to look forward to this fall. It's something that's going to be great. But yeah, it's exciting.
I know, I'm also excited to see him in the second Uncharted movie.
Yes, yeah, we got that announcement too that they are in production for a second Uncharted with Tom Holland, Mark Wahlberg. That was a fun one too. That was definitely more of a comedy based, which was fun too to see like an action comedy, whereas this one's definitely more of like a serious
Yeah.
action suspense. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I'm here for the action. I'm here for it. But
do
even more movie news, uh, the new Barbenheimer is here.
you want?
Because the official release date for Wicked has been moved up from November 27th to November 22nd. A lot of people are speculating because they didn't want it to release the same day as Moana 2, which is November 27th. But now we have Wicked coming out the same day as Gladiator 2, which is November 22nd. So a lot of people are comparing this to Barbenheimer because you have like this fun, well, not fun, but like musical Broadway-based film, and then you have Gladiator 2. So
Yeah,
I'm excited to see how this works out. Um, I don't know how if it'll be as like monumental as Barbenheimer, but you know what? Cinema's back, so we're here for it.
absolutely. This year just keeps getting better and better for movies. This is such an awesome year for film. So, so many great things to look forward to. But I agree with you. I don't know. I've been trying to think all day if I was in the shoes of people producing Wicked, like what would I want it to release with? Moana 2 or Gladiator 2? I want to say I think it was a smarter move to move it up with Gladiator 2 because I feel like Wicked could possibly attract more of like family audiences, possibly. It's still not like a kids movie, but I feel like out of anyone, it would attract maybe like families and younger people. So Moana 2 might give it more of a run, but obviously Wicked has its very own fan base. It's been something people have looked forward to since last year when we first got images of it. And Gladiator 2 obviously has its own fan base as well and has been very long awaited by people who love that film. So there's definitely gonna be a lot to talk about when that 2 weeks of film happen because so many people love those three movies. They're three very different movies, so they all have their own audience for sure.
Also, we news this week, Gladiator II released its first like official photos and they look so good. Like
Yeah.
not even like Gladiator related, but everyone in that cast is just so good looking. What the heck? Like I don't know what they put in the water for this movie, but the photos were just visually and like makeup and effects wise stunning. And I think it does pay respect to the original Gladiator, because obviously the original cast is not in it as far as we know. Um, but I think fans are going to be excited about it. It looks like it's got the blood, it's got the fights. So I don't know. I'm just excited from these pictures.
Yeah, I think what you said is true. Like they've definitely done it justice from what it looks like with the pictures. All right, well, it is that time in the episode where we start our watch of the week. So, what is your weekly watch for this week, Gracie?
My watch of the week is, I feel like I've said this before, but I finally finished it, so I'm gonna say it again. Bridgerton season 3. I
Love it.
finally finished it, and I was so happy I finished it because my other friend was on my back about not being done it. I love Bridgerton, do not get me wrong. Huge fan, love it. My mom loves it, my sister loves it, I love it. That being said, I was very underwhelmed by this season. Like, I don't know. I feel like in my rankings, out of the other two seasons we've had, plus Queen Charlotte, this is definitely at the bottom for me. And that's not because I don't enjoy Penelope and Colin. It's just because I felt it was one very rushed for the fact that, like, the first part, it led up to where it needed to go. And then the second part, there was no romance. It was, well, there was a little romance, but it was mostly just arguing and like petty fights and a lot of like side quests in a way because they were focusing on different characters. And it would go from like one moment with Penelope and Colin, and then all of a sudden be a flash of another character that has nothing to do with the storyline right now. And then go back to Colin and Penelope. So I don't know. I was just really underwhelmed with this season. I'm obviously happy with how it turned out for them, but yeah, not my favorite season. But I do still recommend people who enjoy Bridgerton to watch it because it does give you everything that you look for in said TV show.
Yeah, it's too bad. Sometimes it's hard when you're looking forward to a show like that and then you're just underwhelmed or it just wasn't what you wanted it to be once it finally comes out, and that's always kind of sad. But
Yeah, it's like I'm still excited for the next season because obviously, but they said that's not gonna come out until like 2026 or something.
yeah,
So what am I gonna do until then? Like just sit and think about all the things I feel they did wrong.
yeah.
Like
That's
there
what
was a time jump too, which really threw me off,
yeah,
and I didn't like that.
yeah. That's what I find hard about TV these days, more so with streaming than cable TV. But like when I go on back and watch shows from the early 2000s or whenever it may be from, when they had like 22, 23, 24 episode long seasons and they would come out because it was just on cable at that time, like from you had basically like September, October to like maybe May and June, and then you only had to wait a few months for it to come out. So it's hard sometimes with streaming shows when you're only getting like 10 episodes maybe every 2 years. Like
Yeah,
it's crazy to think about that way. Like I love, have you ever watched The OC from,
yeah,
I think
yeah,
it's
yeah.
the first season has 27 episodes, I believe. It might be 29. I think it's 27, but crazy. And then the other seasons are a little bit shorter, but 20, 27, 20 something episodes is nuts.
That's like I used to stay up late on like school days and I would watch the new episodes of Once Upon a Time.
Yep.
Like that was it for me. I was so excited every week. And then like if you missed a week, there was sometimes like on demand stuff that you could watch, but you only had like a limited time to watch it. And then the next one came out. So I don't know. I miss that in a sense, but I also do like having the option to rewatch it or watch it whenever I have the time to do.
It's
So
true.
anyway, my watch of the week was Bridgerton. What was yours?
My watch of the week was A Quiet Place Day One, which I was so excited to go see. This was something I looked forward to a lot. I think I mentioned in another episode because I love the two first Quiet Place movies, so I was really excited to get a prequel for this because I love Lupita and I love Joseph as actors and actresses. So I was very excited to see what their performance was, and they definitely didn't let us down in any way. I think I gave the movie 3.5 stars on Letterboxd because I did feel it lacked in some senses, but most definitely not in performances. I thought Lupita and Joseph did amazing in the movie. These ones are so important on how you act in them. Well, obviously anything is important how you act, but when you get a movie that doesn't have much dialogue in it, it's very important how they're showing their emotions and how they're portraying the different scenes without speaking. So they did a phenomenal job. I loved what they did with the film. However, that said, because this film was a prequel, I was somewhat expecting it to go a little more into depth or give us some sort of background as to why these aliens started invading Earth and like what led to this, or if they saw it coming, like whatever it may be, but it doesn't provide any of that. So if you're looking for that, don't.
Look
Um,
elsewhere. This is not the place.
this isn't it. Go to another quiet place, not here.
Maybe
But
they need like a prequel for the prequel.
see, like, because so where this is set for people who haven't seen it yet or haven't watched the trailer, whatever it may be. So it starts in New York City, where Lupita's character is in a hospice center. She is sick with cancer, and she travels into the city. She travels right into the city with Alex Wolff's character. He's in the film as well, if you know him from Hereditary or some other horror films he's been in. But he's a nurse, and he takes them on a day trip to see a puppet show. And that's when it starts happening. The aliens start invading the Earth, so you just kind of get thrown right into it. You just jump right into the first invasion, at least in New York City that they'd seen. It kind of looks in the movie from a shot that they do that this has happened elsewhere in the world. It's not like the very first one, but there's just a brief scene where you see that. So there's no pointing to what has caused this or what they think this is, and no one in the city seemed to like know immediately what was happening. So who knows if it had been spread worldwide yet? But besides the point, I saw a lot of comments online for people were very heated in debates between this on whether or not the movie should have gone into more depth about whether how this started or this was good, how they left it. A lot of people on the other side of the argument were saying that you don't necessarily need to spell everything out for the audience, which I agree. You don't always need to paint such a vivid picture. You can leave it up to the imagination. You don't always have to fully explain everything, which I agree with. But however, I do see people's points, and I thought the same, that when you have a prequel, you might need a little backstory. Like just a little. And I get it because it's called A Quiet Place Day One. Obviously, it makes sense what they did with it. We see the first one, whatever. But a little knowledge on why this is happening or what they even think this is. I don't know. Just maybe something. I don't know how they could have fit into the movie or to make it make sense, but anything would have been nice. But also, if you've watched the trailer or seen promo, whatever it may be, you know there's a cat in the film. So Lupita's character has a cat in the film. Um, and the one thing about the cat is that that I think a lot of people agree with too, is that I felt so stressed for this poor cat who's being dragged across New York City, has to be silent, has to stay with Joseph and Lupita for the whole movie. And you just feel so overwhelmed by when you can't see him. You're thinking, where has he gone? What's happened to him? Is something gonna happen to him? So sometimes it kind of took away from what was happening on screen or the suspense of what was necessarily happening in that situation when you couldn't see the cat. Because all I could think of, at least for me, was what's happening to the poor kitty? Like,
It's
where has it gone?
giving the dog from Anatomy of a Fall.
Honestly, I felt so scared for this cat. He was just one of the most important characters in my opinion. But I'm not sure if that's what they were going for, so I do think one thing about like one critique of it would be to maybe place less importance on the cat. I mean, again, you have a cat in the whole movie, so naturally everyone's gonna be worried about it. But I don't
What
know. It took away from
I
some scenes.
I imagine you like looking for that cat, like that one clip of Ryan Gosling at the, I think it was the Oscars, where they show the dog clapping and then it pans over to Ryan Gosling and he looks like upset and then he sees the dog and he's like, dog. Like that's how I imagine you seeing the cat.
Well, honestly, because the cat would just run away at certain points, and then like you wouldn't see it for a few minutes, or it would be in some situation where they had to go rescue this cat. It also made me think too, I have a dog, and my dog's a little yappy. My dog likes to
Your
yap. She
dog
does.
would be dead.
My dog, I literally said, I went and saw the movie with my parents and my sister, and I said to them after, I said, what would we do if this was us? Like, we would have to leave her behind.
You'd have to like duct tape her mouth.
I was like, she would either need a muzzle or we would just have to, I don't know, that's just so sad to think about. But it's like, getting back to the movie. Overall, I thought it was a good prequel to the Quiet Place franchise. Definitely worth seeing. Great horror film. Obviously, everything has its critiques, but overall, I enjoyed it. So you can go see Quiet Place Day 1 in theaters now.
Let's move on. What was your song of the week, Nicole?
Well, in my fashion of staying with country music, as per usual, I'm gonna have to go with a song that just came out a few weeks ago titled You Look Like You Love Me from Ella Langley. It also has Riley Green in the song. This is such a I love this one because it feels like older country music if you're into like 90s country music. At the start, Ella is kind of not kind of Ella is just talking in it. We have the music playing in the back, but she's like speaking like she has dialogue and then it goes into the song. So I really liked that aspect of it, and I've been excited to hear this one since she performed it at the Grand Ole Opry on October 24th in 2023 as an Opry Next Stage artist. So this has been long awaited. That was the first time she played it and it just came out a few weeks ago. So it's a great one, especially if you're into, like I said, older country music. Definitely has that vibe. So you can go stream that wherever you find your music. But what is your song of the week, Gracie?
Mine is, I honestly wasn't sure what I was gonna put this week, but it's been stuck in my head since it was first teased and now it's officially out. So Girls by the Kid Laroi. And it's such a banger. It's so catchy. Like you've definitely heard it on TikTok before. But I also think it's so iconic because it like slightly confirmed his relationship with Tate McRae. And then obviously, to my knowledge, today they became Instagram official with a birthday post that he made for her. Um, so yeah, for those of you who don't know the drama around this relationship or this song, I guess, her ex-boyfriend was a hockey player and he apparently did not treat her the best or he cheated on her. Um, who would cheat on Tate McRae? We don't know, but it happens. Um, anyway, they obviously broke up, and there was a lot of drama with her doing the NHL All-Stars game before he was even close to being an All-Star. So she made it to the NHL, really the biggest point in the NHL before he even did, which was like, haha, for him. Kind of sucked. But then the Kid Leroy came in with this song after him and Tate started hanging out, and it's basically just saying how he is so much better for her than her ex guy. And apart from that, it's just a banger. It's got a good vibe to it. The lyrics are fun, and it's been stuck in my head for like a month now. So that's
Yeah.
it.
This song has been teased for such a while because the Kid Laroi has been playing it like on tour and such, and then it was leaked on Spotify. I know I definitely listened to it a few times as people uploaded it as a podcast on Spotify to listen
Yeah.
to. But I love everyone's disses at Cole Sillinger, the NHL player. I think that's so funny. If it's true what happened between them, whatever it may be, I think that's kind of iconic of the Kid Laroi to release this song kind of as a hit at him. think it's funny, but did you watch the music video as well? There was a lot
I
of buzz with it when it
did.
came out
It
with
had
Alex
some notable
Earl.
girlies in there.
Yeah, there was and so many people shortly after Sabrina's video with Barry, but people were very confused as to why the Kid Leroy didn't cast Tate McRae as his love interest in the video. Instead, he cast Alex Earl in the video. But like if you look at so many singers, they never cast their real life significant others usually. And like, okay, obviously, yes, it has happened, but if you're watching a lot of videos like that, it's not often that it's their real significant partner. So,
A lot of people, though, are petitioning to have a remix with either Jack Harlow because it fits the vibe of Jack Harlow, or in this case, Tate McRae, because that would be such a power move. I don't think it's gonna happen though. I would love for it to happen, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's gonna happen. I think they're at the phase in their relationship where they started out as friends and now they're just kind of trying to keep their private life as private as they can to an extent, obviously.
yeah, this song has been stuck in my head forever. So, thank goodness it's out because now I can get more to the whole song than like the one part of the song that I've been singing
Literally,
over and over and over that we've heard on TikTok.
literally. Ugh.
But yeah, those are our songs of the week, so you can stream those wherever you get your music. But as usual, the episode is winding down, so we are going to end with our upcoming releases. Gracie, do you want to share what is coming out on today, July 11th?
Okay, so starting off our releases, July 11th, obviously, we have Divorce in the Black. It's on Prime Video and it is directed by Tyler Perry.
Yeah, so you can stream that today. And as for theatrical releases, we have a lot coming out tomorrow on July 12th. Like we mentioned earlier in the episode, Longlegs releases officially in theaters tomorrow, as well as Fly Me to the Moon, which is with Scarlett Johansson and Channing Tatum. Another space movie about the first moon landing, just in case we didn't have enough already.
Whoa.
But I'm actually excited for this one because I like this pair. It looks fun from the trailer. So that is coming out in theaters tomorrow. We also have Touch coming out in theaters, which focuses on a widower who embarks on an emotional journey to find his first love who disappeared 50 years ago. So that is also having its limited theatrical release in Canada. And do you want to share what we have on streaming tomorrow as well?
On streaming on Disney Plus, we also have Descendants, The Rise of Red. I'm excited for this one. I actually did an interview for it, so look out for
That's
that.
exciting. Love that.
Yeah, and then moving on to music, we also have The Death of Slim Shady. Obviously, this is Eminem, and I believe it's an album. Yeah, that's gonna be on July 12th as well.
Yeah, and then the last we have a TV release on July 17th, which is next Wednesday. Big Brother season 26. You can catch that on CBS. And of course, this comes after the news that Big Brother Canada has officially been canceled. But yeah, so that is everything you can catch over the next week in film, TV, and music. Tons to look forward to, lots coming out. So great week for entertainment news and lots to look forward to and to talk about next week for sure.
Well, that is the end of episode 10 of As Seen on Screen. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Gracie.
And I'm Nicole, and you can catch us wherever you find your podcasts on Spotify and YouTube.
We'll see you next
See
week.
ya.